I'm the director of the library at New Mexico Junior College down in Hobbs, New Mexico. And you know, a few weeks ago, I was watching The Property Brothers. And I was looking at what they did, and I thought, okay, two really handsome brothers doing a presentation about really cool stuff. And I thought, well,
Actually, one handsome brother.
I thought I may not have a twin, but we are, well, my birthday was on March 17th and his was on March 18th, 3 years apart. But we could make this Property Brothers or Library Brothers thing work. And actually, I'm the one who's actually a librarian. He's in information technology. And, but we thought it would just be really great to give you an overview of Google products, and every product that we're going to be talking about today is completely free. And these are all, well, and they're all things that you can use with computers or with your cell phone. Everything can be used on your cell phone as well. And these are all things, they're free, but they're things that can really help out no matter what kind of library you come from. These are things that can really help you out a lot. So don't expect anything really in-depth. The idea is to let you know what it is, and then you can go back and explore it and get to know it better yourself later on. We will leave time at the end for questions. And if you have questions that are particularly pertinent, go ahead and ask them during the presentation. If you're confused about something, we don't want to leave anyone confused. So please ask us questions. But I'll start us out. Aren't those fancy special effects? I just want to adjust the lights a little bit. And this is my brother, Randy Britch. Hello. And he'll get a chance to
I'm the non-librarian in the room.
The handsome brother.
The handsome one.
I got married first, so. All right.
Which of us is older?
Take a guess. Who's
All
older?
right.
Okay, so me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, or him?
Raise your hand if you think he's older. Raise your hand if you think I'm older. I'm 3 years older.
I'm the youngest in the family. I'm the baby. And interestingly, we actually have, he's not a librarian, but we have an older sister who is a librarian. So it kind of runs in the family a little bit. And we're all book lovers in my family. All right, so to start out, who here has a Gmail account? Pretty much everybody, right? So if you have a Gmail account, you have pretty much everything that you need to use the products that we're going to be talking about today. If you have a Gmail account, you likely, even if you don't know it, also have a Google Drive account. It's the same username and password for Gmail that you use to get into Google Drive. Now, to get to Google Drive, and to get to most of the products that we're talking about today, all you have to do is go to Google, and then click on, let's see, it has a laser pointer, right? Click on that little thing, and that will give you a list of the Google products that they're really promoting at the time. And then if you click on more, it'll give you a complete list of their products. And I've noticed it's not completely complete. There's a few things that we'll be talking about today that aren't in their complete list, but it has a pretty good list. And that's just to demonstrate that this is also available on your cell phones. Everything that we talk about today, there is a cell phone version. So now let's go into Google Drive. And it's super easy to get to. It's just drive.google.com. And a lot of you, especially if you're Android users, your pictures are probably already being saved on Google Drive. And some people don't even realize that. But Google Drive has more than just pictures. It has the equivalent of the Microsoft Office suite in Google Drive, and it's completely free. So there's no reason for your libraries to pay for Microsoft Word, to pay to purchase the to purchase the software of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or any of those. Google has an equivalent version, and that is completely compatible with every one of those. So to get to those, you go to where it says My Drive. So in Google Drive, you just click on My Drive, and then a little drop-down menu will come up, and you'll see a list of their products. And this presentation that I'm doing today is actually done with Google Slides. This is not a PowerPoint presentation. It's a Google Slides presentation. And again, you can do this on your cell phone as well. Now, one of the great things about this is that you can share. Any of the, let's say if you have a Google Slides presentation that you're working on, you can share it with someone else and they can work on it at the same time. Or if you have a Google Doc, which is the equivalent of Microsoft Word documents, you can actually be typing and someone else can be making comments at the same time. You can share it with other people. So if you're working on a group project, especially if you're working with people that are in other locations, it makes it pretty easy to work on those. So what you do in order to share them is you go up to File, and then just click on where it says Share, and then a little pop-up will come up. There we go. And then here you can actually type in who you want to share it with. You just type in their email addresses, and then it will send them an email to let them know that you want to share with them, and it'll give them a URL that they can click on to go to it. Yeah?
Do they have to have a Google account in order for you to share it with them?
No.
No?
You've got 3 different permissions. One with a Google account, which will allow them to edit it, but you also can share it with a particular address, a particular person that doesn't have a Google account, or you can share it out to the world, basically, if you want to. In fact, this slide deck right here will show you at the end that we're sharing with all of you. Any of you can access it, regardless if you have a Google account or not. So, yes, you can have a Google account, but you also can share it without a Google.
So many times people will say, I want to share something with you through Google Docs. You have a Google account, which I do, but they say, okay, if you do, I can share it with you. Because they're thinking that they can't share it with me if I don't have a Google account.
And they can.
So they technically can. Also, when you're sharing something, it has settings like, so we're at the end of this, we're going to provide a URL for all of you so that all of you can view this slideshow at any time. However, the permissions that we've given in it make it so that you cannot change anything in the slideshow. You can see how that could be dangerous. So this is showing their version, this is Google Docs, which is their version of Microsoft Word. Again, it's completely free, and the great part is that you can share it. And you can download it. You can, like if you create something using Google Docs, you can actually download it to a flash drive or to your computer as a Word document. It'll convert it to that for free.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
By the way, you can add links to each of these on, if you have computers in your library, like they're available for your public or for your patrons and so forth, you can add links to each of these on your desktop. That way your library patrons can just double click on it, go into it, they can log in with a Google account to access any of their Google Drive documents.
Pretty cool stuff.
Do they have to be logged into their Google account to be able to access it without the link on the desktop? Is that what you're saying?
Well, to access their own documents.
Okay, but they can create a document, instead of purchasing Word, I could put a link to Google Doc on their desktop, and they don't have to have it to do that.
You could, it would be a little bit tricky though, because you would have to set it up using an account, a Google Drive account. So you could have the library's own Google Drive account, but if people were saving their documents in that account, you'd have to be careful and
You
make
want
sure.
them to log in with their own.
Yeah, yeah. Because if they're
You
using
have
yours,
that
you have to
somewhere.
clean it up at the end of the day, it gets a little
Okay.
tricky, so.
That's,
Does this have capability of, editing PDF documents?
It does not.
Okay.
You can export PDF.
Yeah.
So it also has a similar thing to Excel spreadsheets, but they call it as sheets. And my wife and I, we actually use this to keep track of our monthly spending budget, so you can see the groceries we've bought for the last little while. But, of course, because it's equivalent to Excel, if you're doing your budget with Excel, you can do it with this as well. It uses all the same formulas. And then you can save it as an Excel spreadsheet if you need to send it to your city manager or something like that. And again, all of this is available on your cell phones. Okay, now we're leaving Google Drive, and I just want to take a minute to talk about Google Groups. Now, I really like Google Groups in that this is an easy way to send out emails to lots of people at one time. You can create a group of you and maybe all of your coworkers, or even coworkers who live in other states. You can create a group together in Google Groups, and then you send out an email and it'll go out to everybody. And all you have to do it, you just, where it says create group, just click on that. And that'll take you to a page where you can name your group. And for this, I just put NNLA_demo. And the email address would be @googlegroups.com. And then click on create. And then a pop-up will come up. And this is where you can invite your friends to join the group. Anyone who you want to join the group. Then you just click on OK. And it'll send out invitations. It'll send emails to every single person and invite them to join your group. They have to approve it before they can join it. Yeah.
So is there a limit to the number of recipients you can have to a group?
I don't think so,
And
as
this-
far as I know.
And this won't prompt the spam things on servers and stuff like that?
Well, the idea with it is that everyone that's in this group would be people that you know, ideally. I mean, you wouldn't want to use this to send an email to everyone in your community or something like that.
Yeah,
But
well, like
it-
I have these things like where I'm working with large groups of people, like for training, I'm a trainer at Amigos Library Services.
Mhm.
And like, we have this problem where if we send out too many things, we get a bad reputation, and anybody who
Sure.
has a Gmail address, it automatically goes to their spam. So I'm wondering if this is a way around that.
I don't have an answer for you. Rand, do you have an opinion?
I don't. They may just be filtering you personally.
This happened company-wide. I mean, it was a real problem we had, and we had to basically go through all these hoops to fix it. And
Gmail prides itself on its spam filters,
Yeah.
especially. Exchange Server Outlook also has those in place. And so, I don't know how they do it, but they actually look for mass emailing type of
Yeah.
like that. And so, you may have to, when you send it out, ask people to add them to their do not filter list, basically.
yeah, okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Google Calendar. This is, how many of you have used Google Calendar before? Okay, so put yourself in the library situation. Now, most of you have probably used it on a personal level, but in the library, it's super useful because, one, you can have shared calendars between not only just people, but groups within the library. So you could potentially create multiple Google Calendars for patrons or for library staff, for administration, and then it's super easy to just share those calendars. I'm an IT guy. IT guys love to have direct control over every part of the computer system. And so they locked down a good portion of, the whole Exchange thing. Trying to make an Outlook group is mission impossible. With this, it's super easy to do that. The second thing is on that bottom, which is a calendar widget. This is where you can actually, if you can convince your IT group to add this to your homepage, you can add just a little calendar in there that you can constantly update through Google Calendars. And then when people go to your homepage, they can see all the latest events that are coming up and so forth, and you have direct control over that Google Calendar to keep it up to date. You don't have to work through IT, you don't have to work through some other group, you've got direct control over that. So it's a very nice benefit of that. There's an example of Google Calendar, and likewise, it's got iOS and Android apps for this. A little bit different use in doing it versus the desktop version, but all the same functionality with it. All right, Google Voice and Google Hangouts. How many of you have used Google Voice before? So a lot fewer of you. Google Voice actually is a free phone number in your local calling area that if you sign up using your Google account, they'll assign a local number that then people can call, and you can add multiple people to that phone number, and it will automatically call all those people at the same time. So for example, let's say I'm here in Albuquerque, I create a local phone number, I get into Google Voice, I configure it, I say I want to add Susie, Ellen, and Christy to this particular group. I add their mobile phone numbers to that. So Susie, Ellen, and Christy's mobile phone numbers, and then when somebody calls the Google Voice number, it automatically rings all three of those other numbers. Likewise, texting. You can text that as well, and it will automatically send out a text to all those numbers. So this is really handy in a library situation because you've got staff coming and going, you can add someone new to it, you can filter on who should be getting the phone calls and who shouldn't be. They can have their own mobile devices. And all of a sudden, you don't have to stay next to your phone. You can have your phone there with you, and you can be out at lunch, someone can call, and you can actually put in times for when it should be called on you. So it's really great for that with Google Voice.
Can I add something?
Please.
It has a feature where it'll screen your phone calls. It'll actually, when someone calls that number, it will ask that person, it'll call you and ask you if you would like to accept the phone call from that person. So anytime that I'm selling an old car and I don't want to deal with the public, I'll actually list my Google Voice number in the newspaper, and they'll call that, and then if I think it might not be someone safe, then it'll actually screen them for me. So it's pretty handy.
That's why he never takes my phone calls.
Figured it out.
It all makes sense. Okay, Hangouts. So Hangouts is another product that's similar to Skype, but with Hangouts, it's got discussions or messaging where you can go in, but it's also got a camera where you can see the other person and discussion threads in it. So if any of you have used Slack before, or Skype, or any of these messaging boards, Google Hangouts is similar to that. This is really nice for virtual meetings or face-to-face help desk. One great feature about Google Hangouts is the ability for someone to share their desktop. So for example, if you've got someone, a patron who's at home, and you're helping them search for something, they can actually call in using Google Hangouts. They can click on the shared desktop. You can see what they're searching for, and you can actually potentially even take control of their computer to help them with that particular query.
Are you able to use this within Google Classroom, like in that setting?
Within the Google Classroom? I don't know. the answer to that.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, there you
That's
go.
something that just pop up on our students' iPads with the Hangouts from the teacher, and I was just
As far as I know, you can. You probably want to ask your IT person if there are any settings preventing it, but in theory, it should be able to.
Yes?
Any way that you can use that as a Google chat widget or some sort of?
Yes, there actually is a, you know what, I think they took it away. For a long time though, you could download a Google Hangouts plugin for your computer that will allow you to just chat like that, but I think they're switching to a new product, and so I'm not totally sure that that's still available. Okay. Yep, there's an example of Google Voice, and actually this is where it's transcribing, and you can actually, it's Google Voice and Google Hangouts are actually intermingled quite a bit as well. So you can actually see the discussions between them. There we go, come on. There we go. And there's an example of Google Voice on the phone. Okay, and then Google Hangouts.
Okay, all right. So, who has used Google Maps in the last 24 hours? All right, everyone's used Google Maps, I'm assuming, right? Google Maps, I've been using it I'm from Hobbs, and so I'm not used to this big city driving. So I've been using Google Maps the whole time that I've been here. I've been using it on my phone. It's something that everybody uses and that we all take advantage of. But it has a lot of really cool features, really amazing things that a lot of people don't even realize. I'm going to leave our slideshow and go to Google Maps. Just show you.
Keep your fingers crossed and say your prayers. Okay. So the other day I did a search. I love the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian's so cool. And Google Maps has really in-depth details on the Smithsonian. And in this example here, this is the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. But what I wanted to show you is that it doesn't just give you a view of it from the outside or an aerial view. It actually provides you with maps, floor by floor, of the museums at the Smithsonian. So it has the subfloor there. It's showing the main floor right now. In fact, I'm just gonna collapse that. There it shows 1M, whatever that is. One of the floors, probably the stairwell. And then the absolute top floor. Now, the peg guy, that's what they call him, the little yellow guy, he's so cool because you drag him anywhere and he'll give you a view, a street level view of wherever you drag him. So I just want to show you in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. Here's a little peg guy. If you put him in a circle and drop him in there, he'll show you the view from that circle. If you drop him on one of the blue lines of the street, you can actually, once you're in there, walk up and down that street and, actually view that street. But let's take a look at one of the circles here.
Oh.
So there we are, we're in the Smithsonian, and it's a 360 view. And those rockets, they're so cool. Airplanes, rockets, all sorts of things. Now something that we're not talking about today is virtual reality. And the reason why we're not talking about it today is because you have to pay for it, or you have to at least pay to get the goggles for it. But Google has a ton of different apps for virtual reality, so if you own the goggles, you can go anywhere in the world and use this 360 technology, basically, to view pretty much anything anywhere in the world. So that's a fun thing to do if you want to dish out the money for the virtual reality goggles, and they're about $10 each. They're not too expensive, but something kind of fun, especially if you're a school librarian. But that's just a side note. Now, But using this, I mean, you can go anywhere and do just about anything. There was another time where I went to Alcatraz Island using Google Maps. I went into the building and I was actually able to give myself a self-guided tour just with the arrows on my keyboard, walking through floor by floor Alcatraz. I saw all the bars and you know, just, boy, it's a crazy place. But there are lots of really neat places like that, and often it'll provide you with directions floor by floor, and you can go to each of these places.
So you go really fast, just backtracking, you
Sure.
just go to Google Maps, and you're gonna go to that location, then click on it to get the,
So for instance, I mean, like, it's just Google Maps, that's all I'm using. So you type in any location in Google Maps, and then when you're looking at it from the aerial view, just get the little yellow guy, get the peg guy, they call him. And once you start dragging him, you'll see blue lines and blue circles. You drag him to any blue line or any blue circle. So for instance, I'll drag him right over here to this blue line, and that takes him to the street. Now, try this with your houses. Seriously, like on your own, and you can do this on Google Maps on your phone, but look for your house, and the little peg guy will just go right there, right to your house. And in fact, we did this with my dad's house, and we saw my dad taking out the garbage. And that brings me to the next thing. Yeah. Google Street View. Now the way that Google has pretty much mapped out visually every street, well, pretty much in existence. For them, the earth is not too big. I mean, Iceland, Norway, the Arctic tundra, they've mapped it all.
How about Patrick County?
Hobbs, even Hobbs. Yeah, I'm from Hobbs. Yeah.
What about Catherine County?
I would imagine that's even on there, yeah. So, and what it is they have these Google Street View cars, and they'll strap this camera on the top that takes video 360, I mean, from every angle imaginable, up, down, sideways, northwest, east, south, I mean, it's all there. And they will literally drive through your neighborhood. They'll drive through your neighborhood, and maybe some of you have even seen them. Now, what some people do is they like to get creative with this and have some fun with it. So they'll call up their buddy and they'll say, "Hey, the Google Street View car is driving through town right now." And then they'll be like, "All right, get your costume." This was in Norway, and this is actually the Google Street View car caught these guys on camera, and they purposefully dressed up in their scuba gear just because they thought it would be fun. Yeah.
Just to give you an example, my relatives in Japan lived in an area that was hit by an earthquake, and I was able to go into Google Earth and look at their property and see the damage. I mean, the images were really.
It's incredible.
Really recent, so.
Yeah.
It's really, and they lived out in this really obscure place out in the country.
They update this regularly. Now, Google Earth is a slightly different product than Google Maps, and I'll be talking about that in a minute as well. But any of the aerial views that you see, pictures taken from the sky, their satellites are just incredible. I mean, they can zoom in to a few square feet. And so you can zoom in on just about anything. But if you do a Google search for Google Street View pranks, you can find all sorts of these pranks that people have done. Not all of them are safe for work. I will warn you. But they're generally pretty funny. I mean, people have a good sense of humor. I've seen several murders staged.
You think?
Now, Google Maps, they also have something that's a part of it called Google Maps Treks. And this is incredible. This is basically the Google people, they're saying, well, let's say that there's this incredible place a place that everyone in the world loves, lots of tourists go there. Maybe we can create a specific page that has lots of information about this place. So for you educators, you can send your students here to Google Maps Treks. And for instance, Venice, I just want to show you what it has on Venice. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down just a little bit. Well, earlier, the Earth was spinning and got bigger, but it might be maybe I let it sit for too long.
Refresh the page.
Yeah, we could refresh the page. Each one of these things, and so it's also showing us old maps of Venice, and if you click on that, it'll show you even more information. Gives you lots of different pointers about Venice, and then when it shows you pictures, you can actually move the, oh, come on, work. Well, it'll show you lots of different perspectives. At one point, it'll show you the actual street view, and you can walk through it, through here. So it gives you a good overview of Venice, shows you lots of the artwork, shows you the history.
Get lost.
Wander the streets and canals of Venice with Street View and see what you stumble upon. Anyway, I'm not going to take the time to go through all of this, but you can see what it does. And then it shows you other places that you can explore. Now, you can get lost in Maps Treks for hours. Because once you get into the features and you actually start walking around in these places, you can spend forever just looking at the summit of Mount Everest and moving all around in it. It's like you're actually there, and you learn an incredible amount of information about it.
So where do you find the link to that?
Just do a Google search for Google Maps Treks.
Is there a link on the Google Maps?
Let's see. You know, I'm sure there is.
That's one of the things I noticed, like if you're looking for an advanced search, there's no link to advanced, you know, it's hidden.